All righty, I'm going to call to order the Town of Dartmouth Conservation Commission meeting for Tuesday, October 14, 2025. We have a full complement of commissioners. Uh, Affirmative votes will require 4 out of 7 positive. This meeting was duly posted and noticed in accordance with the Town of Dartmouth bylaws and Commonwealth of Massachusetts statutes. We're conducting this meeting remotely because on March 28, 2025, Governor Healy signed a further extension for hybrid remote meeting options for municipalities. That extends the option until June 30, 2027. We do have various methods by which the public can participate. There's a raise your hand feature, and if all else fails, wave your hand, and we will recognize you. I'd ask if you're not speaking to please keep your microphone muted so we don't get the ambient noise from your microphone interrupting somebody's presentation. That being said, we're going to move on to our administrative items. The first is the approval of the September 9, 2025 minutes. May I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. We have a seconded motion. Roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Donald? You have to unmute yourself too. You're still muted. Nat?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
Donald?
Yes.
Okay, and my vote is yes. That passes unanimously. The second administrative item, there were no field trip reports for September 23rd, but the second administrative item is to receive the minutes of September 23, 2025. May you please have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We have 8 field trip reports tonight and 1 public hearing. So we're going to start with our field trip reports. The first is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 2514, from Leonard Potter to replace a failed cesspool with a Title V compliant system within the 100-foot buffer zone to an inland bank. The regulations 310 CMR 10.02, 10.54, as well as section 360-2 of the town bylaws. The land is described as map 38, lot 29. It's otherwise known as 488 Chase Road. Mark, staff's recommendation on this request.
Yes, first and foremost, the commission needs to understand that the request for determination of applicability is to replace a failed septic system. There is a new resident living in that house. It's a small lot on 488 Chase Road, and it certainly is a necessary project. But before I give you my recommendation, I do need to make a statement. This property is owned, although he is not the resident of this property, by one Derek Reese. Derek Reese's name may be known to you, as we currently have an enforcement order out against him on the property at 1342 North Hicksville Road, for which we have not had an adequate response, and he continues to violate on that particular site. I don't believe, and Mike, you could correct me on this, I don't believe that the Conservation Commission can hold one site hostage for activities on another site under same ownership with ongoing violations. I just don't think you can do that, especially in the case where this is a necessary change as we have a failing septic system.
You're correct, Mark. That is my understanding. So unfortunately for us, we have a problem on a different property with the same owner, but we can't let that taint our decision on this particular property.
Thank you for concurring. Having said that, this project falls within the buffer zone to an inland bank. It's in a lawned area, so we're not actually disturbing the bank or the adjacent vegetation. There are some activities on the adjacent site also owned by Mr. Reese. Don't know if there are wetland implications there, but just as an FYI. Having said all that, staff is prepared to make a -3 recommendation with our standard erosion control devices and a specific alert to the ongoing enforcement issues to DEP when we send a copy to them.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue on this request for 488 Chase Road, a -3 determination with our standard erosion control device conditions and with a alert that there is an outstanding, is that an enforcement order, Mark?
Yes, it is.
Outstanding enforcement order that needs to be resolved and should not be ignored. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our next, the second field trip report is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 2517, and that's from Scott Paveo to construct an 18-foot by 40-foot in-ground pool within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The regulations 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, as well as section 360-2 of the town bylaws. The land is described as map 67 lot 38. It's otherwise known as 43 Lucy Little Road. Mark, staff's recommendation on this request.
Yes, this is a proposed in-ground pool in the buffer zone to a BVW. It in fact is totally within an existing lawn area. The only portion of the project that actually trips our jurisdiction is the last 15 feet, the northern 15 feet, which extends over the buffer zone line. The vegetated wetland is segregated by a chain link fence, a significant drop off in grade. I don't think this is going to be very much of an issue. Therefore, staff is recommending a -3 determination. Again, with our our erosion control device conditions.
Very good. Does any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue on this request for 43 Lucy Little Road, a -3 determination with our standard erosion control devices condition.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Second.
Seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could just clarify, I see Scott is sitting here. Scott, a -3 is what you're looking for, okay? The commission is
Terrific.
not taking further jurisdiction. So in this case, negative is good, positive is not good. So you are good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. I appreciate it. And thank you to the commission for considering us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Our third field trip report is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 2518, from Victor Silva to pour 2 foundations for 2 separate additions to an existing single-family home within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, as well as Section 360-2 of the town bylaw. The land is described as map 150, lot 2, otherwise known as 133 Alpha Street. Mark, again, staff's recommendation on this request.
Yes, these are 2 small additions to an existing single-family house on the corner of Alpha Street and Allen Street. It is within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. However, both additions are occurring in existing lawn area and within an overall building footprint. There is a garage that is closer, that has been previously approved, that was further or closer to the BVW. So again, staff is recommending a -3 with our standard erosion control condition.
Okay. Any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue on the 133 Alpha Street request, a -3 determination with our standard erosion control devices conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our 4th field trip report is a request for determination of applicability. RDA 2519. It's from the New Bedford Yacht Club, care of Richard Rayum, to bring new underground conduit and cables from Elm Street to the clubhouse and to the dockage within the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank and land under the ocean. It's on land described as map 112, lots 8 and 9. It's otherwise known as 208 Elm Street. May have your, Mark, may have staff's recommendation on this request.
Yes, the yacht club is proposing to upgrade its electrical service from the street across the property through the parking lots and onto the dock structures. It's replacing existing, they're not adding new. They will also be replacing some transformer positions and setting up some future electrical conduits for additional work down the road. Before I give my recommendation, I do want to speak to the commission because I approached the yacht club as I have approached several of our large, long-standing, what I'll call institutional projects. These are projects that many of them were built prior to regulation, and now their normal maintenance work falls within our jurisdiction. The yacht club being somewhat unique because it is literally right on the water. So we are collectively, myself, Mr. Rayom, 2 gentlemen from the yacht club and another consultant, Fott Engineering from Marion, are working to develop a program by which we can put together a comprehensive notice of intent for certain maintenance and certain operations that are ongoing and continual and need to happen long beyond the sunset of an order of conditions. We have been doing this recently. We do have some conditions that speak to this in a very generic sense, but some of these sites have unique implementations that may not cleanly fit into our general conditions. So we're trying to get an umbrella to allow these facilities to function without hiccuping every time they need to do something, a new activity with our jurisdiction, even though it's a maintenance and not a creating some new facility. Large scale projects like dredging, possible dock reconstruction from the water, from below the water line may require separate filings down the road. We would make those determinations as we go along. But we are working closely with the yacht club to see if we can kind of streamline and organize some of this. And the real cause of this, briefly, was a situation about a year and a half ago in which we had two proposals, one a landside proposal for dredging, and one a waterside project for dredging, and a second project, a landside project for reconstruction and stabilization of the existing coastal bank. And I reviewed both plans and I saw that there was possibly some integration of both projects. And I asked both consultants separate if they knew about the other project, and they didn't. That really, caught my attention, because I know that multiple things have to happen at the yacht club, but they have to be coordinated and they have to be integrated. It's not in the best interest of this commission to be handing out permits left and right, even though it's the right of the applicant to ask for them, without projects being dovetailed together so they work together. And everyone, the yacht club, the engineers, and myself all agree on this. So that's a little background of where we're going with this. But on this particular project, staff is recommending a -2 determination in this case, with erosion control condition. And it's a -2 because the work is occurring within a resource area, land subject to coastal storm flowage, not solely within a buffer zone.
Thank you, Mark. Any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue on the request by the New Bedford Yacht Club for 208 Elm Street, a -2 determination with our standard erosion control devices conditions.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Before I vote, I'd like to inform the board that I am a member of the yacht club. However, my membership at the yacht club, I respectfully assert, will in no way affect my judgment as a commissioner. So,
And just for the record, Richard, you're not on the board of directors, are you?
no, I'm not.
And you have no economic interest in whether this is granted or not?
None whatsoever.
Very good. I don't see any conflict there.
I just did it for transparency.
Understood.
I'm sorry.
Understood. No, I think that's a good thing to do. I just want to be clear on the record that not only is it just a membership, but you have no interest in whether this is granted or not, no personal interest. So I
None
think that's
whatsoever.
important.
Yes, my vote is yes.
Okay. James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat?
Yes, so I should disclose, similar to Mr. Mount, I'm also a member of the New Bedford Yacht Club. I'm not a director, nor do I have any economic interest in this project. So just for disclosure, but my vote is yes.
Very good. My vote is yes, and I'm not a member. So that passes unanimously. Our fifth field trip report is also a request for determination of applicability, RDA 2520. It's from the Mass DOT Highway as part of the road surfacing project for road safety within 100 feet above the buffer zone to several bordering vegetation wetlands and within a riverfront area and bordering land subject to flooding. It's on land described as Route 195. I guess they're putting a runway in. What is the recommendation of staff for this?
Well, Mr. Chairman, a little explanation here. I forwarded to the commission an email from the applicants, and in this case, the applicants were the Region 5 District Office of Mass DOT in Taunton. And they are requesting a withdrawal without prejudice because, unbeknownst to them, Mass DOT Central in Boston, I believe at 10 Park Plaza, had authorized a consultant to file an RDA for the same work, but added the milling of pavement in the same project area. So we had two RDAs filed for the same work, one of which had additional work. That second RDA that came from Boston Central came too late for this particular agenda. So it came in time to be scheduled for our next meeting. I contacted Region 5 and asked them to clarify what was going on here. And they were the ones who explained to me that unbeknownst to them, the Boston office had taken control of this project and had made a determination not to proceed with the RDA on tonight's agenda, but to proceed with the other RDA, which will be on the next agenda. So the applicant, Mass DOT Region 5 in Taunton, has requested a withdrawal without prejudice.
Any commissioner have any questions? So seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to allow the applicant on this road resurfacing project on I-195 to withdraw their request for determination of applicability without prejudice.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Finally, something different. Our sixth field trip report is a request for a certificate of compliance on DEP file 15-2750 RCC 2518 for the corrective actions to bring the on-site stormwater detention basin into compliance with the approved design plan. It's on land described as map 84 lot 8-10 or 267 Samuel Barnett Boulevard. Mark, what is staff's recommendation on this?
Yeah, a little bit of background on this one. About within the past 2 years, this project came before us with a certificate of compliance for the building, the parking lot, and the drainage. And in that analysis, the then engineer, Prime Engineering, determined that the detention basin was not constructed in conformity with the design plan, and modify, in discussions with me on how to proceed, the COC request at that time was modified to a partial just for the building and the parking lot, which this commission granted. Since that time, another engineer took over the project. I don't know why, and basically worked on the detention basin, and they did the work to bring it into compliance with the plan of record. So given this work, the bringing the detention basin into compliance, staff is recommending a complete COC as per the plan dated 9/17/25, which is the new detention basin as-built plan.
Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I won't issue a damn thing. I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance on the plan filed with the Conservation Commission dated September 17, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our seventh field trip report is a request for certificate of compliance, DEP file 15-2220, RCC 2519. It's from the trustees of Bayview Improvement Association, care of Richard Rame, for the repair of an existing seawall to a coastal bank and its 100-foot buffer zone. The applicable regs are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.30, and Section 360-2 of the Town of Bylaw. The land is described as map 105, lots 46, 47, 48, and 66. It's otherwise known as 4 Bayview Avenue. Mark, what is staff's recommendation for this request?
Upon site inspection, last week, the work has been completed in full conformance with the plan of record. The site is very stable, therefore staff is recommending a complete certificate of compliance.
And what's the date on the plan of record if you have it?
I do have it, actually. March 10th, 2013.
Thank you. So, any commissioners have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on DEP file 15-2220 for the issuance of a complete certificate of compliance in accordance with the plan of record dated March 10, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
With seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
yes,
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our eighth and final field trip report is a request for an extension permit on DEP file 15-2207, REP 25-4 from the Buzzards Bay Coalition for the removal and long-term maintenance of Phragmites australis from Salters Pond in accordance with the approved habitat management plan developed for the pond on land described as map 88, lot 10, map 11, lots 23, 24, 31, 32, 33, 33-1, 33-2, 34, 35, 36, 39. It's otherwise known as 130 Ocean Avenue. Mark, staff's recommendation on this, please.
Yes, the order of conditions was originally issued in August 29th of 2013. And the permit life to date is 12 plus years. The reason for that period of time is this commission granted, I believe, 2 extensions. There might have been a third, I forget. Then there was the COVID extension, and then there is the governor's extension, which extends this permit to December 2nd of 2025. Buzzards Bay Coalition, who is doing the work for the Salters Point Association, is requesting another 3-year extension because there has been a recurrence, although not significant, but enough to be concerned about recurrence of Phragmites in and around the pond. As we know, because we've dealt with a few of these, Phragmites eradication is not a 1 to 2 year process. It's a multi-year process. And depending on the methodologies used and the actual applications, given environmental sensitivities, the time frame can extend. So I think that the request is very reasonable. However, one of the things that I'm a little concerned about, and we have talked about this on several occasions, are these recurring extensions, COVID and the governor extending without any, options to commissions or boards is a tough thing that adds almost 4 years to most permits that have occurred during the early 2020s, whether they've been extended or they've been issued during that period. Having said that, staff's recommendation is in fact to issue a 3-year extension, which would extend this to December of 2028. But I want a proviso in here. We have never received a monitoring report or a status report on the work over the past 12 years. There's nothing in the files. And I would request that the permit be issued with annual status reports going forward, being submitted to the Conservation Commission each year so that we know basically what the status and what the success rate is of the work, of the ongoing work.
I have a question. So the recommendation is to extend till December, is it 29th of 2028?
It's
So
September
that was
2nd.
the date of the original.
It's the 29th, yeah.
Okay. And the annual status reports beginning a year from today?
Yeah, after the next year. They're not gonna do anything with it, between now and this December, so starting in 2026.
All right. So I'm going to say um, Oc- October 31st of 2026, 2027, and a final report on 2028. And I'll say December 31 for that one. That makes sense, Mark?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I
Any
was just
commission-
gonna say by the end of the year, because they might be working in the fall, I would have said, if I were to change any of that, I would say by December 31st of those years.
All right. Well, as long as you're satisfied with December 31st, I
Yeah,
don't.
I
have a
am,
problem.
I am.
I just want to put dates in there so they don't.
Okay,
say, "Oh, I didn't know."
I understand.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any questions? Don't see any. So on this request for 130 Ocean Avenue, I'd entertain a motion to extend the permit on DEP file 15-2207 for 3 additional years ending on December 29, 2028, with annual status reports due the first December 31, 2026, the second December 31, 2027, and the final December 29, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
yes,
Donald,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We're moving now to our sole public hearing. It's a public hearing on DEP file 15-2801, NOI 25-34 from Nathaniel Gomes to construct a single-family dwelling with a garage detached with living area, in-ground pool, cabana, septic system, as well as all associated grading. It's within the 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. The regulations here are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, as well as section 360-2 of the town bylaws. The land is described as map 24, lot 42-1. It's otherwise known as 6 Peters Farm Road. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
yes,
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. And we have the applicant here this evening or somebody on the applicant's behalf.
Yes.
Somebody said yes, but I don't see any. Who said yes?
Nathaniel Gomes.
Okay. Very good. Mr. Gomes, you have the floor. Could you please present your project?
Yes, it's a new construction house, septic system, garage, and also a ADU.
Okay. Do you have any plans that you want to share on screen?
Um,
Actually, hey Nate. Hey, this is Chris Vandenberg with CEC. I do have a copy of the plan if you would like to show it. Is that something you could authorize me to do, or can I just hit
yes.
share? Okay, go ahead and do that, do you?
It's okay. Sometimes it takes a little while.
Yeah. Share. Okay. I am sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see this.
Nothing's come up yet, but we have the green box, so that means there
Yep.
we are. Now we got it.
All right, cool. So you guys can all see that. Okay.
Yes. we
So
can.
yeah, Nate, I'll kind of let you take back over and I'll just kind of let everyone kind of take a look at this. So yeah, pretty much like what Nate was saying. It's a pretty, I'll say it's an interesting house, need to say. I know, Mark, you had some comments via the online portal system. Just kind of zoom in a little bit. So here we have pretty much give you some context here. This is I don't know if it's actually a retreat lot itself, but it is way out back. Give you a little context. Let me show the get the page. So give you some context. Bakerville Road is out in this vicinity. It is a long easement that goes along back to Six Peters Farm Lane here, of which you come out to this back lot here. So yes, it is I believe I can't remember what it is. It was I'm trying to use my hands. No, I don't have a
An
mouse.
estate lot? Was this an estate lot?
Yes. Yep.
Is an estate lot, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. So here's your, I believe it's a 5-bedroom house. Can't remember honestly. Um, a detached garage with a proposed bathroom and a shower, and a proposed 1-bedroom ADU back here. Everything is within the upland portion of the site. There is a proposed well in this vicinity with a proposed on-site septic. We have received septic approval from the Board of Health for that. The next step here is, requesting an order of conditions for the site because work is within the 100-foot buffer zone here. That's kind of the breakdown of the site. I know, Mark, you went out to the site, made a site visit, and I guess I'll just possibly turn it over to you for any questions, comments.
All right. Thank you very much. Mark, I'd be interested to hear staff's comments regarding this proposal.
Yeah, this project stems from an estate lot created by an initial subdivision plan of which this commission issued an order of conditions under file number 152461. That particular order of conditions, even with all the extensions, did in fact expire in June, I believe it was June 4th of this year. We're looking at a plan with a wetland line that was a line of record under that order, but once that order expires, it is no longer a legal line of record. So my first concern was that. There's also a note on the plan of a wetland alteration. It's right in front of you there, 3,100 square feet. And what is not shown, which would be right near that wetland flag A28, was a 3,300 square foot restoration area that was done part of the 2461 filing. So need to clarify that that wetland alteration has been done and it was mitigated for. However, we have never issued a COC on that, but we have been out there, and I think there might be a tree or two that have failed that probably needs to be replaced by somebody, but largely that restoration has taken hold and has been in place for several years. The proposed development strategy on the plan that you're looking at, and Chris, if you could reduce it down just so that they can see the
Yeah.
whole scope of the project, is fairly aggressive. It proposes to construct a large 6-bedroom single-family home with a detached garage with plumbing and a bathroom, regrading landscaping, and a proposed ADU or an accessory dwelling unit to the south of the garage. That is the bottom square that's not shaded. A concern that I have, and I understand that the zoning bylaw has now been modified by the governor to allow for ADUs, and the town has subsequently responded. The ADU is not so much my question, it's the proposed garage with plumbing and a bathroom. I suspect, and I believe Mr. Gomes is a contractor, that that is proposed to be a workshop. However, whenever you have a structure with plumbing and sewering, it may not be the applicant's intention, but some subsequent owner could turn that into a third dwelling unit on the site. I'm not sure if that is really compliant with zoning, and I certainly don't believe it's in the best interest of the Wetlands Protection Act or bylaw when it comes to that existing in the buffer zone, which it does. The plan you're looking at, I sent the commissioners copies of a plan that's color coded with the green lines showing the wetland line, a red line showing, excuse me, the extent of the buffer zone from the wetlands, and an orange line showing the extent of riverfront area, which would be that dark, yeah, right there. That's the extent of riverfront. So we have a lot of things going on this particular property, and the aggressive nature of the development utilizes most of the buffer zone, which means that it will probably be cut and devegetated. They won't cut windows necessarily to get to these structures. I anticipate, as most contractors do today, it will be clear cut and then replanted. I don't know what the replanting plan is. I will say I issued comments on the portal and I copied the commissioners so they know exactly what my concerns were. I also have spoken with Mrs. Gomes. I've had some very good conversations with her, and I think we're kind of allied in a viewpoint. We haven't seen a design yet, but I think she has expressed and showed me some renderings which certainly are much more positive looking than this particular plan. However, we've not received those as official submittals yet to the application. So I think that the application, while administratively complete, given the extent and the type of development that they're proposing, needs some more information. We have not received that in the timing for revised submittals. Therefore, staff is recommending to continue this to a later hearing. Mrs. Gomes and I, and she can certainly correct me if I'm misspeaking here, but I think we talked about the next hearing being on the 28th of October. 2 weeks might not be enough time given the concepts that we were talking about, mostly what Mrs. Gomes was sharing with me, which sounded very, very interesting. I don't think that they can get all of that done by the 28th. So we were also talking about the possibilities of extending beyond that. Our next scheduled hearing would be November 11th. I'm going to put an asterisk by that because we have to discuss something about that, followed by the 25th of November and then December 9th. When I was talking with Mrs. Gomes, when we were talking about November 11th, it had not occurred to me that November 11th is a federal holiday. It is Veterans Day, and we cannot and should not be having a public hearing on a federal holiday. So that date, the 11th, is probably not available to us, but this commission could, in fact, change that to a Monday or a Wednesday of that week, or push it back a week, or push it ahead a week, whatever you want to do, if you want to have that particular hearing, if this petition needs to be continued to that week. If the applicants are willing to go to the 25th, it's a moot point because we don't have anything else that could be scheduled for that evening at this time.
Could I ask you a question, Mark? The 25th of November, how many commissioners will be available for that? That's Thanksgiving holiday time.
It's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Okay, as long as we had everybody back, I'm fine. I mean, I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere, but I don't go anywhere. So I don't want to speak for every commissioner. Um, and I just want to make sure we have a quorum before we start loading up on the 25th.
Well, let me explain to the commission what we're dealing with. The 11th is Veterans Day. It is a federal holiday. If you if you wanted to bump it back, or if you wanted to make the 11th the 4th of November, that's Election Day. We really shouldn't be having a meeting on Election Day. So that leaves us with the week after the 11th, which is November 18th, which is open, but that's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Excuse me,
Mark,
no, excuse me. I stand, the 18th is not the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. The 25th is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Excuse me, Mr. Garrett.
Yeah.
Could I say something?
You have to ask the chair. I'm not running the meeting.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah, Mark, if you're
Um,
finished with your thoughts, then you can.
Oh, well, for now, yeah, I'm willing.
Okay, I mean, I understand that, but I mean, I don't want to,
Well,
the reason I'm
yeah.
asking is if you were going to continue to say something, I didn't want you to be interrupted, that's all. Are your thoughts complete for what you were saying? I'll certainly come back to you.
Yes, yes.
Okay, now you can go ahead, please.
So just wondering about like the planting and stuff, because the plans say like loam and seed, disturbed areas and such. So I'm just wondering, like, if we postpone the meeting and stuff like that, we don't have certain members. Is it something maybe we can do this now? Is it something that based on plantings would stop us from being able to start the project? One of the first things is the well. We have to get the well drilled so that way the testing can be done before we can even get the building permit. And we're starting to
Well,
get
I
to.
mean, let me just stop you right there. If there's components of what you propose that you want to get started on that are within our jurisdiction, the simple answer is no, you can't start without us approving. And we can't do a partial approval because if what I'm hearing is there's a couple of issues I'm hearing. Number one is the current plan that's been presented was piggybacking off of a previous plan in terms of the wetlands delineation. And because that expired, you have to, is there a valid wetlands delineation?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I stand corrected. I was not done. You just reminded me. We did go out and do a site visit. That wetland line that's on the plan that you see, flags were rehung, and those flags are accurate. So
Okay,
they pending the decision here, an approval would reestablish the wetlands as a line of record.
gotcha. All right. So that's a key component.
Yeah.
So at least we don't have that to worry about. But there were some things that Mr. Garrett had mentioned were going to be revised. And so we can't vote on a plan that's going to be revised at the next meeting. We can't do that tonight.
Well, let's just say that I'm not going to revise it, and I'm just going to do loam and
Then we
seed.
can deny it, right? And then you can come
Yeah.
back in 3 years.
Well, I'm just wondering if, say, I wasn't going to put any plants, and I was just going to loam and seed, which is defined on the site plan by the engineer to do. What
We
if that?
approve the plan tonight. That's the plan you're stuck with. If we're not satisfied that it meets the performance standards by which we're governed and we deny it, you can come back in 3 years.
But what are the performance standards within the buffer? I saw, I kind of maybe piggybacking off what like Mark was saying. But obviously, in my experience, there's no, I've never seen typical performance standards when working within a buffer zone. Obviously, if you're clearing within the wetland, you want to replant it at a certain
How far
ratio.
away are you from the wetlands? And you're closest because we do have a no activity zone we have here. Are you violation?
25 is the closest.
Okay, so you're at least
Well,
out of that.
Mr. Chairman, I think one of the things we have to also talk about here is that the character of this site right now is a forested buffer zone and a forested shrubby wetland.
Right.
And if I heard Mr. Gomes correctly, their revegetation plan is to cut the trees down, loam and plant lawn area. Our bylaw, I understand this is very approvable under the state law, but under the bylaw, we have added values and we treat buffer zones pretty much like we treat wetlands. I'm not asking for a complete replanting, but I think that to be in the spirit of the requirements of the town wetland protection bylaw, that there needs to be a much more substantial planting in portions of the buffer zone to offset the clear cutting impacts. Loaming and seeding with lawn is not going to do it.
I just
Mark, do you know
I want a
offhand?
little clarification there, Mark. I think you're raising an important point. Unlike other communities, the town of Dartmouth does not exclusively rely upon state regulation. So you have to comply both with the town bylaw and state regulation, and we're more stringent than state regulation. So
So you have a bylaw for outside of the 100-foot buffer zone for plantings
Not outside the buffer zone, within the buffer
within
zone.
the buffer zone,
within the buffer zone. Okay.
it's 100 feet from the border of the wetlands. So it's actually 100 feet of uplands. And there's the first 25 feet of which we don't, unless it's an extreme emergency, like somebody has to put in a new Title V system because they have a failed one, we don't approve any activity within that 25 feet of the buffer zone. Now, there's some communities that have much bigger no activities, Fairhaven being one, but we're 25 feet. So when I heard that, you're going to be outside of the 25 feet, that was a sigh of relief, because I think that now you're in the part of the buffer zone that we could approve if all the other conditions we feel are necessary to uphold the integrity of the wetlands are adhered to. And Mr. Garrett's just given you one of the most prime issues, which he was told was going to be rectified with an amendment, a plan of restoration. And as he just told you, he won't, he will be a man of his word in my experience. And he's just told us if the plan of restoration is loaming and seeding, he can't recommend it. It's possible that the commission votes against him. It wouldn't be the first time, but it would be one of the few times.
Mark, do you know what section offhand that is by any chance in the local bylaw?
It's right up front. It's under the jurisdiction statement. I
Okay.
don't have the bylaw in front of me, but basically it treats the buffer zone along with, it doesn't call it a jurisdictional resource, but it treats it as those standards. You cannot impact the wetland values, which are listed, and there are probably about 14 of them.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to make this overly complicated because, Mrs. Gomes and I had some very constructive conversations, and she was telling me what her intentions were, and they sounded fairly reasonable. And we were talking about, and mind you, the house, I actually think the house design is a neat design. I really like it. It's a very contemporary design, but I do think it fits the land perfectly. But we're talking about cutting 3.5 to 4 acres of forested buffer zone and getting impervious structures, driveways, and lawn. And that to me does not speak to the values of the buffer zone, especially in this setting. We're basically turning a forested area into a totally used area. And I think that there is suitable compromise that the applicant can get what they want and we can maintain a certain level of value for that buffer zone.
I totally agree with you. I just get nervous when Mrs. Gomes makes choices of plants that she wants.
We didn't talk about any plants. We were talking about cover types, okay?
Yeah.
Tree, shrub,
Yeah.
herbaceous. We did not speak about plants. We
Okay.
were talking about staging the cover to be somewhat representative and duplicative of what you're removing. How you get there, I never said what had to be done or didn't have to be done.
No, I said it. I said it as a
You two
joking-
have to
a
sit down and
joking
decide
matter.
on the plants.
A joking matter. But no, I agree. I mean, we obviously, that's our intent, is to bring the property back to basically the natural state, obviously with, you know, a house, the ADU and the garage. That's our fullest intent, is to bring it to there. I just, you know, with the holiday seasons coming up, missing meetings, I'm just trying to get the ball rolling here, and I totally understand we have to go through the right motions with all that. I just was hoping something like, you know, Mrs. Gomes's plants that she wants to put in wasn't going to hold up the start of us trying to do what we got to do. But I mean,
I can guarantee you, if this is approved, the conditions will not say the plants that Mrs. Gomes wants. Okay.
Obviously, my goal is a little bit more of the aesthetics of the property. I know you mentioned it is a little bit of an aggressive approach, but I think that our approach is kind of really building the property like out of the land, essentially. I know that even when looking at it from the bird's eye view, you really don't get a good full picture of the aesthetic of the whole property, and it really is kind of very, like you said, very contemporary, but also part of the land. And that's the goal. We're planning on doing all of the structures that way. So I think that's where, and obviously, you know, with the discussions that you and I have had about the landscaping, my goal is to make it much more aesthetically pleasing, keep as many trees as we possibly can to keep the property as private as we can. I know from my perspective, I've made it very clear that I don't want too many trees coming down, just because the property itself is already very private, but we would like to maintain that. So I know that's more of his jurisdiction. He has to make things safe. Obviously, we don't need like dead trees falling on the property once we've built everything. But I think that's definitely our approach. The loam and seed, I have to say, is not the approach. It is definitely going to be restored to the, I don't want to say the original, but to maintain as much as the original property as we possibly can is the goal.
Well, if I could respond, I think that's, you know, very noble goals, but we have to see it on paper. I mean, we have to see a plan that reflects the spirit that you and I spoke of, because I think we were pretty much on the same page, you know, and I don't think that we were talking about a land use and making the land use work. The last thing I need to say, and I need to put this on the record, I know the commissioners have heard this many times. Anytime we evaluate a project against performance standards, or wetland values, or protectable interests, whatever you want to call them, we have to look at the project in three ways. First of all, has the project avoided any unnecessary impact to jurisdictional lands? The second criteria is, if there are unavoidable impacts, have they been minimized to the greatest extent possible? And has the project adequately mitigated for those minimized and unavoidable impacts to those jurisdictional lands? And that's exactly what I'm speaking of. Clear cutting, loaming and seeding doesn't avoid or minimize, okay? A reasonable planting plan, the saving of certain existing vegetation, certain cover patches that may not have to be removed, and the project can still be constructed. Those come under avoidability and minimization, and those are the kind of things we look at. And so I just putting that on the record, that's how I look at things. That's, you know, environmental regulatory 101. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we have spoken, you know, myself and Mrs. Gomes, and now Mr. Gomes and Chris Vanderberger. I think we've at least shared our ideas on this, and I think go back to the drawing board and let's get a better picture and a better product, and any deliverables that this commission should see to appreciate. I mean, I saw the design, I saw the elevations that you showed me. They haven't. So that kind of stuff all has to go into supporting your application. Right now, we're flying in a plane over a site and we see blocks and we see lines saying we're going to develop all of this, and so I think we are not quite to the point where we can make a decision to permit the activity, and we certainly don't want to be in that position. We don't want to stand in the way of a good project.
Well, Mark, I think you're giving some good advice. And from what I'm hearing from my side of the coin, um, agreed. Our job isn't to stop projects, it's to make sure we work with the development team or the applicant so that they can get their project done in a way which does the least amount of harm to our jurisdictional resource. Okay. So we're here to protect that, not to stop somebody. And listening to Mark and Mrs. Gomes, I think with some tweaking of what you've got, listening to what Mark said, this appears to be an approvable project. So, I think it's important to get it right so that we can approve it.
Would it be helpful if we came up with some kind of like, I don't want to say like a full landscape plan, because we haven't quite decided exactly how we're going to address that. But would it help if we came up with some kind of landscape plan that you guys could see essentially where we're putting, one of the things that I was really interested in was like utilizing a lot of the native species, keeping the integrity of the land essentially. So utilizing, because I mean, you did the wetland replication, and a lot of that went
Yeah.
really, really well. And it
I will
looks
tell you this much, the more information we get, the better. But I guess, do we expect you to tell us every shrub that's going in and precisely where it's going? No. Okay. But I would say this, if you have any doubt and you want to put something together, it's, as long as it comes in a timely fashion, we will then consider it. You might want to run it by Mark or Eduardo, just to say, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. Is this something in the context of what you talked about? Is this something you think is going to be sufficient? And they'll tell you straight up, okay? But no, we're not trying to micromanage your landscape plan for you, okay? We don't want to do that. And by the way, if we're holding to the October 28th, which is no problem at all, there is a deadline for submitting that, which is the Thursday before that meeting.
okay.
Is it 3:00, Mark?
Yeah, it's October 23rd, but that's a final plan to go before you. I think one of the things, and again, I'm not telling you when to do it, but Mrs. Gomes and I discussed a pre-application meeting where you bring in some plans and we take a look at them. And I'll say, yeah, I think these are good enough, or no, we need a little bit more detail. Again, I'm not looking for every plant and every number of plants. What I'm looking for is a concept of cover type cover over portions of the building envelope. And it may be, to be fair to the applicants, you may need to clear cut an area for a particular, construction. Let's just say it's the garage, okay? The detached garage. Well, okay, but once you've gotten in there and you've built it, maybe there is a replanting plan, as Mrs. Gomes said, using some native vegetation to restore a portion of the cover that was removed for the construction. That comes under the mitigation clause, which I mentioned earlier. So it's a series of things, and we will be as reasonable as we can with you, and we understand what the goal is. And I can't overstate that I want to work with you guys. I don't want to work against you guys, because conceptually, I think I like what you're doing.
And now let's segue to the next issue. Okay, so we can continue it till October 28th. But Mark has expressed concern that you won't be able to do what's needed for that meeting. If you do it, great. That's the meeting we can then hopefully
So,
close the
I'm
public
not-
hearing and vote.
I'm not understanding though, because you just said, we don't need a landscape plan saying where you're gonna put the plants, but you're
Well,
asking me.
I said, we're not micromanaging a landscape plan. We're not gonna need to see where every single bush goes.
Is there
But I didn't say you don't
requirements?
need to have something in writing to say, this is what we propose. So,
But is there requirements like how many different plants you're looking for? Like, I'm just trying to understand if I was to try to get this done for the next meeting, like exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for me to
it's a good
say
question. That's a
what
fair
plants,
question.
what plants I'm gonna put down, where I'm gonna put them. That's just my concern.
Well, this is not a wetlands restoration, which we would be far more detailed about, okay? So Mark, in general, what type of a plan are you looking for from Mr. and Mrs. Gomes? Which would not be a restoration plan like we would for wetlands, okay? Where there
Right,
we
I
would
mean-
micromanage
I
you.
mean, if you're proposing to leave vegetation, will you show the shrub tree line that is going to remain intact? If you're going to restore areas that were cut, I think you sort of do a bubble diagram, a patch. And it might be helpful to give me a guesstimate as to how many plants. I don't need to know what, but how many plants you're proposing, 16, 32, 10, 5, I don't know, depending on what the feature is, to reasonably restore the pre-existing condition. I'll leave that to you folks. I don't want to dictate that to you. And I don't want to, again, as the chair says, I don't want to micromanage this. I don't want to tell you, well, you have to give me 16 high bush blueberry. I'm not, that is not my concern. My concern is the cover as it relates to the pre-existing cover, and trying to restore a portion of that. And to answer your question, a landscaping plan is probably a very good thing, and I would probably recommend you do one. The detail of that, I don't need a planting specification or a planting schedule per se. I need concept.
Is that a requirement to approve this?
I'm going to make it a requirement because it will tell me whether you've avoided, minimized, or mitigated impacts, which
Okay.
is a standard criteria that all of us use.
Okay. We will work on that.
Clarification on something.
Yes, go right ahead, Donald.
Okay, I believe Mark said that 3 to 4 acres would be cleared for this project. And my question is that the case, and is that really necessary? It would seem to me that for a house and a garage, it doesn't seem like 3 to 4 acres of clearing is necessary.
Well, I will have to tip my hat to Mark in terms of the calculation, but looking at the plan that was up on the screen, you had a fairly large home, a garage, an ADU, and so there's a lot of
And driveways
and driveway
and
So-
regrading.
and all of that. So there's a lot of disturbance that'll have to take place. Some of it may be restored. That's what we're going to see. But there's a lot of disturbance that's going to be taking place and will be permanent. Okay. So, it's surprising when people say 3 acres, you think, my God, it must be a farm. It's a good chunk of land, but it's surprising how fast you can fill it up with stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't be misled by the 3 acres.
No, I guess my suggestion would be to try to minimize the amount of land that's cleared in the first place. Then you have less to worry about as far as restoration goes.
Not disagreeing with you, but they are far in. So this is an estate lot, which means it's not right up on the road. There's going to be some issues, I'm sure. They're
Well,
going to
just,
have.
Mr. Chairman, just for correction and accuracy, they have access from Bakerville Road over Peters Farm Lane onto their property or onto the back portion of their property. There is no need to do any work in the restricted frontage portion, which is that long, narrow neck that goes from the road all the way back. The work that they're proposing is on the rear quadrilateral. I mean, we called these back in the day pork chop lots because they looked like pork chops, a rib chop. You know, you have this long bone and then you have a, you know, a fillet of meat out there. And that's the shape. So we call these pork chop lots. So the work that they're proposing is not on the front portion, that access way in. It's on that quadrilateral, that real portion, the chunk of meat, so to speak. And you know, that's 164,000 square feet. And I, you know, divided it. I said, okay, what's 160,000? That's 4 acres. You know, what's 150,000? That's 3 point something acres. Now there are wetlands on that portion of the site, you know, that are not going to be touched. I mean, I'm only guesstimating here. I think it would certainly serve the presentation that the engineer on the plan dictate what the extent of disturbance is in the uplands and moreover, what's the extent of disturbance in terms of square footage in the buffer zone.
Right. My only suggestion there would be to try to, in redoing their plans, try to minimize the amount of disturbance.
I agree with you, Don. I think that would be a great idea. I don't know if it's possible, but it would be something to consider.
Right. Whatever is possible.
Well, any other commissioner wants to speak on this now?
Yes, Mark. I just had a question for you, Mark.
Who?
Just we don't need a qualified wetland scientist for this, right?
No, we've
Like, your
approved your
plans.
wetland line. You know, I mean,
Okay.
you could bring on a wetland scientist if you want. It's not a requirement. I mean, I think you just need, and I don't know if Mrs. Gomes or Mr. Gomes are qualified to do this. In talking with Mrs. Gomes, she has some good ideas, but maybe there is a designer who can fine tune it, like a landscape architect or a garden company, a landscaping company who could help guide a little bit in developing that plan. No, I don't think you need a wetland scientist per se. No.
Okay.
I mean,
Just wanna
one
make sure
could
that-
do it. One could do it, but I'm not saying you have to have them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was the contractor that did the wetland replication on this property 7 years ago. So, I mean, once again, we're talking about putting in plants and ground cover. That is all the stuff that I do. I feel is very well capable of doing it and something that would be very easy for us to handle. You know, it's not as if I don't do this. You know, I did the wetland replication already. I'm very familiar with the plants. Sylvan Nursery, that's where we go for all our plants. So I don't think that it's a difficult thing, and it's something that we can do and we will do.
I'm not questioning your capabilities of doing it, Mr. Gomes. What we're talking about is the design, and you guys could design this. I mean, I'm just
If you're okay with
suggesting
that.
other people and other professions who could help you. But if you're capable of doing the design, it really is not that. That's not the fatal flaw here. We just need to see a design. And if you want to build it, great. If you want to contract that out to somebody else, fine. That's irrelevant to us. It's what is the layout going to look like at the end of the day?
Would you be okay if I was to draft up on the site plan, the ground cover and everything that we were talking about for the next meeting? Would that be something you would be okay with or approve?
Or could we have a meeting with you before that meeting? And
I would think, if you're asking me my opinion, I think that a pre-app meeting before that meeting would be appropriate.
Mhm.
I would certainly be willing to look at, what you have and make suggestions that I think would speak to the concerns of the commissioners. I mean, I know what they're supposed to regulate, I know what they're supposed to protect. And we can move forward with that and then possibly finalize that. I think what would be most helpful, I mean, the more plans, that doesn't necessarily make it better, but whatever you come up with, if that could get then translated onto the CEC plan, which is currently the engineering plan of record, which we need a stamped plan as a plan of record, then that can be worked out down the road. That's why I don't think that the 28th, in my mind, and I think again, Mrs. Gomes, I think you and I were in agreement. I don't know. I think the 28th is rushing it. I think, taking a month, I realize you have a schedule and I don't want to dictate to that, but I think, taking the month would be much helpful and give you a better chance of getting everything together. But that's my opinion.
Chris, do you think that's something we could work on if we have a meeting
Yeah.
with Mark Garrett?
Oh, yeah.
And we can get it put on the plans?
Yep. Yeah, I think I'd, be coordinating with you or Elise on kind of
Okay.
based on what we talked about tonight and just essentially showing the land cover types, what we were going to
Yeah.
propose as mitigation. So absolutely.
Okay. We're just trying to work on, we're just trying to beat the weather and, that's what we'd like to do, if that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm going to suggest that I heard, Mark, I heard you loud and clear about your concerns on the 28th, but I would suggest we put it on for the 28th because we got to figure out what we're going to do about the meeting afterwards.
Yeah. Well,
And so
your call.
does any other commissioner want to be heard this evening? Is there anyone in the audience that wants to be heard this evening? Okay, I don't see anybody. So I am going to entertain a motion to continue this public hearing.
Could I just make a quick comment here? We're talking about a lot of things. We can certainly continue it to the 28th. And I want the commission to understand that if they can't get this stuff in time for the 28th, which would be the 23rd, we'd have to see it, that they'd be willing to continue this. Because I really do believe we're cutting it a little short. The second thing I have to state, and I'll state this off the record, I'm not trying to make a big deal about it, but as most of you know, my mom passed. I will be away from the office and Eduardo is on vacation. So from October 17th to October 22nd, the office will have no technical staff in there. And that we've cleared that with the town administrator. These are unavoidable absences. So again, I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to review this between the 23rd and to make relevant comments to the commission. So I really do believe that the 28th just really is, in my mind, very impractical. I hate to bring the personal side into this, but I am not going to be available. I have to bury my mom this weekend, and and that's out of state. So I'm not going to be as available as I would normally be.
Let's
Sorry to hear that.
Mark, that's a valid and I think relevant point. But that means we have to continue this to a date before we can move on to the next issues. And one of the items for discussion is what do we do about the Veterans Day meeting? So, I mean, we certainly could put in the motion, continue it to the 28th, but if the materials have not been submitted by the 23rd and reviewed by you at that point, then we would agree to continue to the meeting, whatever meeting we decide to go with for Veterans Day. We're not doing Veterans Day. So whether we do the week before, which we could do,
That's election day.
well, we don't have to pick on a Tuesday.
No, we could do the Monday, the 10th, or Wednesday, the 12th of that week.
I'm sort of thinking that's what we could do. But I'm thinking also in terms of what I heard Mr. Gomes say, and timing is everything. I don't mind moving it the election day week, but just not on a Tuesday.
That's fine.
They'll give you an extra week or so to get all the materials in without delaying the public hearing unduly.
Okay.
That works.
Commissioners, while we're on this, we may as well do it. This will be an item for discussion anyway. What do you feel about that? Having a meeting, a public meeting that normally would be the 11th, having it on either the Monday or the Wednesday the week before.
Either day is good for me.
Either.
Okay, so Mark, which
Well,
is
just
best
as
for you?
a matter of protocol, do we have to continue this public hearing, take a vote on the new date, and then reopen so that we can continue to that date?
Yes.
That is a point of
Procedurally,
order here.
we have to-
We can't assign it without a vote, and we can't vote on this within the public hearing. So I would recommend that we make a motion to continue this hearing for the opportunity to take a vote to set that date so that we can.
I'll entertain a motion that we continue this public hearing on a DEP file 15-2801 until after we take the vote, which is going to be coming up next as to the rescheduled public hearing for November 11, 2025.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Okay, now rescheduled. This is item for discussion, but rescheduled public hearing. November 11th being Veterans Day, federal holiday. We're not going to be able to conduct our meeting that day. I would suggest, because we're going to have to reschedule it anyway, if we could reschedule it the week before the 11th, and it cannot be on Tuesday since that's election day. So Monday or Wednesday of the week before, we can reschedule that public hearing. That'll assist the Gomes in having the public hearing earlier in the month versus later in the month. But I'm willing to do that. Commissioners, which of the 2 days, Monday or Wednesday, works best for you?
Monday.
Wednesday.
Monday.
Well, we got one Monday, we got a Wednesday. Anyone else? For now, I can do either one, so I will go either way.
I can do either one and I will go either way.
Yeah, same here.
Maybe.
I can do either one.
Then just do Wednesday for me.
Megan?
I can do either.
Okay, so we have 2 Wednesdays, 1 Monday, and a lot of either, so I guess it's Wednesday.
Okay, that
No,
motion.
we may be able to make it, Nat. I understand that.
That date should be date certain, and that would be November 5th.
Okay. November 5th.
I may be able to make it. It's just less likely than Monday, but I'll do my
No,
best.
I understood. Listen, I get it. We didn't give you a whole hell of a lot of notice, so I get it. Okay. We have other things in our lives that we have to take care of too. So now we're moving back to public hearing.
No, you have to vote on that.
Oh, we didn't vote, did we? Keep
No, you gotta vote on the rescheduling date.
All right. So I'll now entertain a motion to reschedule our November 11, 2025 public hearing to reschedule it until November 5, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Oh,
Second.
Seconded motion. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes, that passes unanimously. Now we can go back and reopen public hearing file 15-2801, NOI 2534 from Nathaniel Gomes to construct a single-family dwelling with garage, detached garage, including, I gotta put my glasses on to read this, living area, in-ground pool, cabana, septic system, well, and associated grading within the 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. Regulations 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, and Section 360-2 of the town bylaws on land described as map 24, lot 42-1, otherwise known as 6 Peters Farm Road. Entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
A seconded motion, roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. Commissioners, I'll now entertain a motion to continue the public hearing on DEP file 15-2801 until our meeting of November 5, 2025 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Well, we have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Donald?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
My vote is yes, that passes unanimously. So now, the next public hearing on your matter, Mr. and Mrs. Gomes, will be November 5th. Okay, 7 p.m. You have to get the materials in the week before, the Thursday before November 5th. Okay? And you can have those consultations with Mark in the meantime. But as long as the revised material is in on time, we can then have that for the meeting. And then, we'll have, it'll open up just like this one did. But likely at that point, we would close the public hearing and then vote.
Okay.
That would be October 30th.
Okay.
October 30th to bring everything in, not for the public hearing. Okay.
Right.
Okay,
November 5th
perfect.
is the public hearing.
Great.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you very
You're
much, guys.
Yep.
Thanks.
Mark, we have items for discussion, so I'll let you just take over because they're all yours.
Yeah, real quickly, on the draft regulation discussion update, I did send an email to Assistant Town Council Cruz immediately following our previous meeting when we voted to reach out and have Mike, myself, and Attorney Cruz sit down and try to hash out whatever confusion there was. I have yet to hear back. I've contacted him twice. In his defense, Tuesday night is the fall town meeting, and I know that he and Attorney Savastano are incredibly busy with the warrant and things of that nature. So this was probably backburnered, but that's where we stand on that. Second item for discussion was a follow-up to the CPC conservation restriction discussion we had at the last meeting. And it was decided that we would convene a meeting with Mr. Smith, myself, Chairman Keough, who unfortunately was ill and couldn't make it, and the town administrator, Cody Haddad, because I felt that it was time to find out where the town of Dartmouth, not the town of Dartmouth Conservation Commission, stood on conservation restrictions and the town holding them. It was a very good meeting. And I'll just read you the summary that I sent to Mike in his absence. The meeting went very well. Several elements of the process were discussed that included: one, the approval flow path for the town to move forward on open space acquisitions, in this case, CR partnerships. That flow should begin with the entity who receives the initial inquiry, and that would be typically CPC directly, but other offices like conservation could be approached. And those entities reach out to the town leadership and the appropriate board, commission, and department for their specific interest in the parcel, which is short of reaching out to the town leadership is what we do standardly. For our next scheduled meeting of the group, which is November 19th of this year, town leadership shall have developed a draft partnering contract template to be considered by potential partners. The issue is that this commission, myself, CPC actually doesn't have the ability to create contracts that bind the town to obligations, responsibilities, and liabilities. Only town leadership, the administrator and the board of selectmen or the select board can do that. Once positive interest is determined by the town leadership, a request for a letter of interest should go out to a list of previously agreed upon partnering entities with the draft partnering contract template attached. So in our case, we would probably identify 4 to 6 entities who might be potential partners in working with the commission to hold the CR and fulfill the responsibilities thereof. And then once the interested partner has been selected, then proceed with a standard CR development, which would be with the state and with the town meeting processes. So in short, town administration agreed that they need to be part of the process, and it was good timing to get them involved. And they're working really on the, for lack of a better term, the contractual side of this, the legal side of this, to make sure that we can do this. We can sit in meetings and opine all we want, but it may not, it may sound good, but it may not be legal. So that's where we are. So we're taking a positive step in this, and we should know further where we are after the meeting on the 19th. So that
Is it at the same place and time, Mark?
it's same place, 10 a.m.
Thank you.
I'll get you an update on that as it approaches.
All right. I'll go over.
So those are the two enforcement, the two discussion items I had. I wanted to get some updates to you on enforcement issues, and I'll combine the first two because they are really right across the street from each other. 1363, 1395 North Hicksville Road. We have consultants working on that project. They have been for some time, and I've kind of told them we've got to get to see something on paper. We need a response. 1342 North Hicksville Road, that is the Derek Reese property that I referenced earlier this evening that we have enforcement order on. He continues to work out there. He has not responded to the enforcement order. I have contacted town council to move forward on this to clamp down on it. But a piece of information, actually, I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't notice this early on, but both this site 1342 and the 1363 and 1395 sites across the street, both on North Hicksville Road, fall within designated habitat. DEP got a complaint and they called me and said, "Did you know this was in designated habitat?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And I'm ashamed to say I didn't. So anyway, to make a long story short, I contacted Jesse Leddick at Natural Heritage to indicate what was going on, and I sent him some background information. I have not heard back from Jesse. I'm sure he will act on this. Jesse is the one who's working on the Masuko property in South Dartmouth. So Jesse does get involved in these things, and hopefully he can support and help instigate response to this. 16 Nathan Drive. This is the one that we have requested through an we have required through an enforcement order that a line of record be established and approved. There are several pending projects on abutting parcels, that need to have this information. He has ignored everything that we've ever said. He has spoken to both Chairman Keough and myself, having misrepresented several things we've said, and so on. And I contacted the Assistant Town Council to see if we could bring this to court. And he says, yes, we're fine to go, but he would like the commission to vote to authorize him to do that. And I said, well, I think we did that a while ago. And he said, well, I don't remember. I'd like you to do it again. So I'm asking you to vote or to consider taking a vote to push 16 Nathan Drive to town council for court action. They've been approved to work on this. It's just a matter of getting it going.
I'll entertain a motion to authorize the Environmental Affairs Coordinator to engage town council on the enforcement order that's outstanding and has been ignored for Nathan Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
yes,
Donald,
yes,
Nate.
Yes.
My vote's yes.
Okay.
Unanimous.
38 Lakeside Avenue. This was a site that I shared with the commission, and you authorized an enforcement order. This is on Lake Nokichoke. The property owner decided to fill in a portion of the lake to build a beach and extend his property into the lake. We did a site visit. He was represented by Farland, although Farland was not retained at that point. Although Farland has been retained to do the work. The due date was, I think it was October 3rd for a response. We did not hear from them. But Farland did indicate that they have been retained. They're trying to work on it. So they need to get a response back to us by the 31st. So that's just kind of an update there. The last enforcement issue is 356 Carroll Street. That was the solar panels where they cut trees on an abutting property within the buffer zone to a BVW and riverfront area. The abutter, basically issued a stop work order and no trespass. So work stopped. We got the abutter to agree to an enforcement order and a replanting plan that was designed. That was supposed to be installed by October 15th. That is not happening. However, I got a call last week from Wilkinson Ecological, who's a new firm who's doing some work in town and doing some work in Richard's neighborhood. Off High Street, some frag eradication and some nuisance vegetation eradication. They have been retained to do the work, and they have committed to finishing the work. And I believe I sent a copy of the email to the commission that they would have the plantings in by the 27th of October. I think that this is a reasonable solution, because if I have to chase the representative of the violator, we'll be having this conversation next year. So we've got good people on the ground doing the work, so I'm letting them run with it. And if it goes in, and he understands if the plants die because they went in too late, they're responsible. But so good firm doing the work. I had Rich Rayome there, since he was the one who did the application originally, and everybody was in agreement, so they're moving forward. So that's that. And again, as I said, I think I copied the commission on an email today. The next 2 weeks he's leaving tomorrow afternoon at lunchtime. Eduardo will be out of the country until October 30th. So I will be the only person in the office. However, this weekend, starting Friday morning and extending through next Tuesday, I will be out of the office. I will be in New Jersey, dealing with my mother's situation, but I will be back, and will be by myself in the office, which I've been before, for about a week and a half. So, those are all my updates.
There were a lot. I have nothing to add. Does any commissioner have any? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Nat.
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Good evening, everyone, and look forward to the next meeting.